They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame. They're eating the dogs.
All right, get down here.
They're eating the dogs.
Beat dropped on this one. At least the beat dropped on this one. We won't play the whole thing through because it's a gleaming work of art that needs to be beholden by everyone. When they send out the next space module time capsule into outer space for the cosmos to bask in the infinite wisdom and hilarity of the human species, this is making it out there. But in case any of you thought that this was supposed to make Trump look good, or this was, this was done by the Trump campaign. I mean, the reality is the Dilly meme group there, the guys I'm not entirely familiar, Dilly meme, right? It's Dilly memers. You would think that they made this. This was made by someone who was trying to make Trump look bad in it. And apparently, let me just refresh here and get the actual original tweet from whence it came. Red-headed libertarian who has never steered me wrong yet tweets, the guy who originally mixed this is having a meltdown because, quote, it's not pro-Trump, end quote, and he is, quote, literally a socialist, end quote, receipts in the comments. Well, it's our song now, comrade. I would have gone with it's our song now, biatch. It definitively confirms one thing. The left, and the further left you go, the more true it is, does not have a sense of humor. And it's not definitional, and it's not like by birth. It's that the more haughty and the more high and mighty and the more arrogant and pompous you become, the less self-introspection you have, the less you're able to actually laugh at things because it requires a degree of humility and absurdity at this farce of a universe in which we live. Let me get to the end of here because it's so.
They're eating the dogs.
Okay. Forget it. I got to give it to everybody. Well, although you're not going to go watch the original content uploader, but I'll give it to all of you in the chat anyhow, because it's a must and one must watch. Link to tweet and the beautiful song. It's like I've known people who have become lefty, liberal, progressive, capital D Democrats. And I've noticed it. The more progressive and the more liberal, lefty Democrat they become, the more toxic, the more foul, the less humor, the less love of life. As we say in French, le joie de vivre. The less of it they have. Because, look, the reality, to find things funny, you have to find yourself funny to some extent. So when people sit there on the internet and make fun and like insult me, it doesn't work when you don't take yourself too seriously. And the other reality is when you take yourself too seriously, nothing is funny. The dude slips on the banana, falls on his butt. All right, yeah, you're laughing at the expense of somebody. That's terrible. He might have broken his coccyx and he might get internal bleeding from. Yeah, you could do that with quite literally every element of humor out there. But where it gets really stunning, and this is why the guy made what he thought was a roast and doesn't understand that it actually is a celebration, because they lack the insight and the introspection to appreciate that. They take themselves too seriously and they think whatever they're doing is the most important thing on earth. Look, by way of example, I put out a tweet yesterday. It was my attempt at a dirty-ish joke. The joke was, let me see if I can scroll down here. Yeah, the joke was, I talked about it yesterday. Word on the street is that Carroll is thinking of moving to Springfield, Ohio, in the hopes that someone eats her cat, Vagina Tea Fireball, because she thinks eating her cat would be sexy. Quote, I'll show myself out. Joke originally inspired by Steven Crowder, but I think I gave it sufficient twist to make it original. Yeah. I should have also prefaced this. In order to have a sense of humor, you need to have humility, introspection, and also knowledge. Like, you just have to know basic facts, because if you don't know that Carroll, that bat poop crazy old lady who, in my view, wrongly accused Trump of sexual abuse, and the only reason she succeeded anywhere is because she did it in the corrupt, politically prejudiced state of New York. Nowhere else in a sane universe does a woman who makes up an allegation of sexual whatever 30 years afterwards, can't remember the date, the details oddly enough resemble an episode of Law and Order. She has a cat named Vagina T Fireballs, and I forget what the other animal she had was called. Gets on a Anderson Cooper interview and says that she thinks women think of rape as sexy. She said this. If you don't know these things, you just think I'm an idiot being very crass and making dirty jokes. As a professor at, I'm sorry, I just had to because it's too funny, retweets it and says, who hosts the podcast where Vance said this outrageous stuff? By the way, what outrageous stuff? There was none. That podcast was amazing, and I encourage everybody to watch it. April 2021. Here's a sample of the garbage this guy tweets, this guy being me. And Vance thinks this is an appropriate venue for a vice presidential candidate, trying to make MTG look moderate relative to the GOP ticket. The first thing I would say in Vance's defense, I was a lot more polite even 3 years ago. And I was a little, less edgy, but I was a little more tempered in terms of the jokes I would and would not make. Congrats, I'm no longer that way. Compare me to 2016 when, I didn't even want to share my opinion when assessing Bill C-16 because my opinion's not irrelevant to this. I'll just give you the objective and you can come to your own conclusions. But when everybody knows the reality and you don't express your opinion on it, it's almost, it's only half the story. People want to know what you think, and to some extent you have an obligation to let people know what you think in order for them, if nothing else, to digest the accuracy of what you're saying. But this guy, who happens to be a professor at some university, calls it garbage, and oh, how dare he? First, I was a lot different in 2021, but regardless, to which I had to reply. Then I went polite. Professor, you do know that E. Jean Carroll called her cat Vagina T Fireballs, right? You do know that E. Jean Carroll said she thinks most women think rape is, quote, sexy, right? You do know what is going on in Springfield, Ohio. Not necessarily the cat and dog eating. They're eating we don't know that yet. Those are unconfirmed reports, according to the police, who have every incentive on earth to reveal the catastrophic consequences of immigration policies that they've enabled in their small town of 58,000 people. Just bring in 15 to 20,000 wherever. I'm not picking on Haitians because they happen to be Haitian in this case. Bring in 20,000 foreigners from any country that's not America and dump them in a small town in America, 58 or a modest sized town in America. You're going to have problems. So do you not know cats and the dogs? We don't know about. I think we definitively have heard at least people who live there talking about the ducks, the geese in the park. Amazing how you feign outrage at jokes, not reality. Watch my streams. You might learn a few things, but it does require an open mind and a sense of humor. You appear to have neither. Godspeed, sir, and take yourself less seriously in life. All right. Whew, people, good afternoon. How goes the battle? It's a Friday. FREI-DAY. Joking aside, the world is going... it's just crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And I put out a tweet yesterday. I said, it's amazing. On Monday, 98% of America had no idea what was going on in Springfield, Ohio. Friday, I would say maybe 25% of America knows what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. Maybe more, but substantially more than on Monday. Why? Because the left doesn't understand memes. They don't understand truth and reality. And I guess to some extent, they don't understand strategery and politics. I'm joking about the strategery, strategics and politics. We'll get into it in a bit, actually. Oh, my goodness. But now we all know what's going on in Springfield. If it's not the disputed, unconfirmed reports of any one of these 20,000 foreigners who have now been just plopped into small town America, if it's not them allegedly, potentially, reportedly, unconfirmed reportedly eating cats and dogs, certainly confirmed reportedly ducks and geese in the park, and certainly confirmed, as we'll see in a bit, overwhelming every infrastructural system that existed in this town of 58,000 people that has now seen a 25% importation of people from another country, to the detriment and to the neglect of the people the government is supposed to represent, that being the citizens of this country, these United States of America. All right, before we get into any of that, people, you will have noticed, as you came in on CommieTube, if you're still watching it there, I don't know why you would be, this stream contains a paid promotion. We're going to thank our two sponsors of the day, and then we're going to get into it. Lumen, another product that I actually use, but I would say I have less use for it because I know what I'm eating. I know when I'm exercising, but it is a metabolic coach for anybody who needs it. It is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. You download the app. It lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you a tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management. How does it work? All you do is breathe into the lumen. It's actually very addictive because it's like a, it gives you it tells you countdown, breathe in, you blow out, and then it goes boop, 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 and it tells you when you're done. It'll let you know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or mostly carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for the day based on those measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on your best of health. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns fat, food into energy. Keep you going because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does. Optimum metabolic health translates into health benefits, increased energy, decreased weight, less stress, etc., etc. Lumen gives you a recommendation to improve your metabolic health. It can also track your cycle for menopause. Not that that's going to apply to me, but who knows? Maybe one day I'll identify as a woman and then I'll have to tell a doctor, I think I'm going through menopause. But it will work for those who are potentially getting around that time of their lives. So you can know what you need to eat, what you need to avoid. If you want to take the first step towards improving your health, go to lumen.me/Viva, lumen.me/Viva. You'll get 15% off your Lumen, or just check the link in the description below. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode. And the second, but definitely not least, another Rumble partnership going on with 5G. People, with Ukraine's nuclear plant basically playing a game of will it, won't it, nuclear safety has gone from the sci-fi movie of plot to, quote, maybe I should actually worry about this. I don't worry about the radiation so much as the atomic tidal wave tsunami that would occur if a bomb went off in the ocean, and Florida being, on average of 13 to 26 feet above sea level. Forget about it. That's just nightmares that I have every night. You've got your stash of canned beans, toilet paper, but everyone forgets one thing as relates to the apocalypse: radiation protection. That's where RadioGuard Ace comes in. This isn't just some random supplement. We're talking about the FDA-approved treatment for radiation exposure. RadioGuard Ace has been in the U.S. government stockpile since 2003. It traps those harmful radioactive materials, flushes them out like your liver handles all of those beverages that some of us consume. Rumble's Radiation Emergency Kit puts this essential treatment in your home along with other radiation protection essentials. Head over to 5gfree.com. The number 5, G like golf, free like the word, .com. Use promo code VIVA, get 15% off, because when the apocalypse hits, it should be if the apocalypse happens to hit, you'll want to have more than just some stash of food in your garage, which I also happen to have. Yeah, we're not preppers yet, but I like to think that if it does happen, I'll be able to lasso up some iguanas and get my proteins that way. Oh, Finboy Slick says, I find Viva's irrational fears absolutely fascinating. Oh, look at that. It's on the top now. Is it on the top everywhere? Let me just maximize this. Okay, so now the chat seems to be on the top. They're not irrational fears, Finboy. If a nuclear bomb goes off, you think about, you don't even have to detonate it over a city. You can detonate it on the water. Then you'll have like the 2015 tsunami on steroids or on radiation. Okay. Guys, look, when it comes to politics, and when it comes to understanding the world in which we live, we value nothing more than the opinions of celebrities. Not just celebrities, though. The rich ones who live in gated communities with their own protection, their own armed guards, who are so bloody wealthy, not only do they not do their own shopping, they could not do their own shopping for fear of getting mobbed at the grocery store. So I could sort of forgive them for not doing their own shopping and being utterly detached from the realities of this world. Now, when it comes to things like, I am beyond fortunate in that I was able, if only temporarily, to escape Commie Canada, to escape the policies of Commie Canada, to escape the disastrous policies that are turning my hometown of Montreal into a steaming, urine-soaked, pee-pee-soaked heck hole. And I don't sit there on the internet from Florida after having fled my home country, my home city, and tell people, yeah, guys, the open air safe injection site down on Green Avenue, it's for the greater good. Don't be selfish bigots. The open immigration that has now resulted in massive homelessness in Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, just the 3 cities that I saw over the summer. I don't sit here, having left that, telling you to live with it. It's progress. The same cannot be said of uber duper super ultra millionaire John Legend and what's going on in Springfield, Ohio. Now, you know that the poo-poo has hit the fan when you get the John Legends of the world putting out unsolicited political advice in the most condescending, demeaning, what is the word when you're not connected? Not detached, disconnected? Whatever, we're going to get to it. He put out a 5.5-minute video, and everything about it is wildly insane. It's the optics of it are so bloody bad that you sincerely wonder, what in the name of sweet holy hell were you thinking when you put this video out? Who put the full video? I said I needed the full video for today's stream. By the way, while we get there, I late notice on the stream in any event. Go on and share the link around on social medias. But let me get the full video. We're going to walk through it. It's going to be painful, and we'll skip through it. But it's painful for a reason. You need to see what is actually being admitted by this out of touch, detached, pious, holier than thou, privileged celebrity. Colin Rugg puts the video out here. Listen to this. We'll go through it. Take some time, and we're all going to vomit just a little bit in our mouths. First of all, I don't like making fun of people's physical appearances, and there's no but to that. I don't think it's a fair thing to do. I do have questions, however, when it comes to someone who looks like his face is paralyzed, who didn't suffer a stroke. Like, I don't know what's going on if he's had Botox, if he's had facial, what's it called when you do facial work? His face is not normal, and I compared it in above and beyond not being normal. It hasn't always been like this. It doesn't look like his upper lip is moving at any point in this 5-minute insane diatribe. Listen to this. And by the way, one hell of a manicure that John Legend's got.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Legend, and I was born as John R. Stevens from a place called Springfield, Ohio. Oh, Springfield, Ohio. You may have heard of Springfield, Ohio this week. In fact, if you watch the debate, we were discussed by our presidential candidates, including a very special, interesting man named Donald J. Trump.
I feel like now, this is something out of, we're not watching the whole thing because it's going to make me effing puke. This is like Talladega Nights. I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, what the hell is, and he's in a freaking bathrobe? Well, can anyone make out? Let me see. I don't know if I can make it out now. Are those his initials on his bathrobe? Let me see this here. Now that I asked the question out loud.
Springfield has had a large influx of Haitian immigrants who have come to our city.
We're going to go through it a bit.
Our city had been shrinking for decades. We didn't have enough jobs.
Our city had been shrinking. We didn't have enough jobs. First of all, this guy left his city. There's nothing wrong with that. But he's saying the city was shrinking, so we needed 25% bump of population of aliens from foreign countries. We didn't have enough jobs. But the idea is that by importing immigrants that bump the population up by 25%, you're going to create more jobs. Hey, John, that's not what happened, and that's not what's happening, and we're going to get to that in a second. But what the hell does he think this looks like? I'm sitting with a bathrobe, with a nice manicured hand, with a Botox infected face that doesn't seem to move anymore, lecturing you, dear Springfieldians, Springfieldites, Springfield citizens, because I came from your town. And now where do I live? We'll get there.
Didn't have enough opportunity. So people left and went somewhere else. So when I was there, we had upwards of 75,000 people. And in the last 5 years, we were down to like 60,000 people. But of late, during the Biden administration, there have been more jobs that opened up, more manufacturing jobs, more plants, factories that needed employees and were ready to hire people. So we had a lot of job opportunities, and we didn't have enough people in our town of 60,000 people to fill those jobs.
But by the way, I guarantee you this is a lie. This is so factually incorrect only in a demented, Botox-infected, injected face with an equally Botox-ridden brain could this make sense. The rationale, by the way, we're gonna leave this one for a bit. The rationale is that there weren't enough jobs, and there were more jobs because of Biden's booming economy, and so they had to find people to fill those jobs. And apparently, the only people they could find to fill the jobs were importing immigrants. That's not even the rationale that Kamala Harris herself gave for this influx into Springfield, Ohio. A 25% population bump of foreigners. It doesn't matter that they come from Haiti in particular. This is not about any one country. That's not even the rationale that Kamala Harris gave. She called them TPS, temporary protected services, or temporary protected status. I'm sorry. They had nothing to do with filling jobs because there weren't enough Springfield people to fill those jobs. Springfield's unemployment rate is almost at 5%. Not that that's tremendous, if you believe the stats, not that that's tremendous one way or the other. It's a load of crap what John Legend is saying. But we got to get to the high part of this. And I'm sorry to torture you with this, but it must be said. I wrote it down because I just couldn't believe what he said at one point in his speech. And I'll steelman it because he clarifies later on in his unsolicited, Botox-injected, bathrobe mofo-giving, pompous, privileged, arrogant, condescending explanation as to why life has to be shit for Springfield citizens, while he says this from his mansion in Beverly Hills. We'll get there.
We had about 15,000 or so immigrants move to my town of 60,000.
My town.
Now,
I think once you leave it, you could say my hometown, but it sure as hell ain't your town. And I don't know, maybe I should measure my words. Maybe he's supporting it financially through, I don't know, activities. Maybe he is. In which case you could say a town that I support. My town. 15,000 into my town.
You might say, wow, that's a lot of people.
It is.
For a town that only had 60,000 before. That's a 25% increase.
It is.
That is correct. So
hey, good for you. You got all the right answers.
Challenges. With, integrating a new population, new language, new culture, new dietary preferences, all kinds of reasons why there might be growing pains. We have preferences, dietary culture, new dietary preferences.
What the hell does that mean? What the sweet merciful hell does that mean? Well, I try to give the benefit of the doubt, steelman it, and to steelman it later on, a couple minutes later, he says, "Don't worry, they're not eating dogs and cats in Springfield." Okay, first of all, unconfirmed or what was the word? Not credible reports. Okay, there have been reports, but police say they're not credible, as if they would even admit it if they were. He says later on they're not eating dogs and cats. What the hell does new dietary preferences mean? Yes, there's going to be new language. I'm sorry, and I know this may sound bad. Why would there have to be new languages in Springfield, Ohio? I mean, this is absolutely stunning. Yes, Springfield, Ohio, you're going to have to start speaking Creole now because your government has decided to bring in 20,000 people from a country that don't speak English, no verification that there's going to be any attempt to learn the language of the land, the culture of the land, the laws of the land, and you're going to have to get used to that. New language, new cultures, new dietary preferences. No, don't worry, they're not eating dogs, though. They're not eating cats because John Legend is saying this, but new dietary preferences. Where is he giving this? I mean, it's just so amazing. You don't need to know. You don't need to really have definitive knowledge of certain things in order to predict accurately. I'm like, oh, John Legend, where does he live? Oh, don't worry, John Legend told us where he lives. Oh, let's see what John Legend's house looks like. Oh, don't worry, John Legend already showed you what his house looks like. Oh, I didn't realize he was married to Chrissy Teigen, who, from what I understand, has a very questionable personal life. I'll leave that to those who know better. Hello, Springfield. Yes, you're going to have to deal with people who, new cultures, new languages, who don't know the driving laws and new dietary preferences. Oh, but let me tell you about where I cook in my house in Beverly Hills. Look at this. Look at this.
Hello, AD.
Hello, AD.
I'm John Legend.
Nice question, Chrissy. What the hell are you laughing at? What the hell is so bloody funny that you're laughing as you open the door to some journalist that you're going to show your house to? It's like cackling Kamala. K-Dog. We'll just call her K. Super K. We'll call her Vitamin K. Okay. What the hell is Chrissy Teigen laughing at? But
hello, AD.
Hello, AD.
I'm John Legend.
I'm Chrissy Teigen.
I'm sorry. I hate them both already. I hate them both. In fact, I think I know why I think I hate Chrissy Teigen. I'm gonna play it after this. I'm not gonna interrupt it. These are detestable, lamentable people.
Hello, AD.
Hello, AD.
I'm John Legend.
I'm Chrissy Teigen.
Welcome to our home.
Welcome.
Nice house. Nice piano. Nice theater. Nice bedroom. That's a nice bathroom. That's a nice balcony. That's a cute dog. Damn, they have a French bulldog.
Our designer's name is Jake Arnold.
We love him.
Sometimes people who are really creative and good at the creative stuff aren't good at the business side of things, but I feel like Jake is a hi Pearl.
Hi Pearl. Hi my love. This
sit.
Is my baby Pearl. She
likes to cuddle with Mama on the couch.
Insane, but she loves to cuddle. This is my Instagram story room. Everyone's always like, "You never leave this couch."
We
never leave this
live
couch.
here. This is the living room. And some people, their living room is more like a showpiece, and they spend all the time in the den or the family room. But we're actually in the living room quite a lot. We sit here and watch reality TV. We cook right there in the kitchen. And since the kitchen and the living room are so close, I think that's why we spend so much time here, because we're always cooking.
What are your dietary preferences there, John Legend? What I'm shocked about, I love it when it happens. Where you never know what is going to resonate, but it tends to be that truth resonates. That's John Legend's house, Beverly Hills. What do you think would happen if what do you think would happen if what's the population of Beverly Hills? Hold on a second. It has to be proportional, right? You can't be Beverly Hills population. 31,000. So it's half the population. What do you think would happen if you brought in 10,000 foreigners with different languages, different cultures, different law-abiding tendencies or knowledge of the law, and different dietary preferences? What do you think would happen if you brought in 10,000 immigrants from a temporary protected status from a foreign country and dumped them in Beverly Hills? You know what would happen? You'd have the same freaking meltdown you had when you had a plane load go to Martha's Vineyard. Oh, we love you. Get the hell out. You've been here for a day. You've changed my life. Don't come back. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Is exactly what would happen. It's stunning. And you talk about what is actually going on. Taylor Hanson is actually on the street. And I'm going to play this clip for you because it's heartbreaking. It's enraging. And it makes you realize that if you thought the government was there to protect you, was there to look out for you, you don't understand what government is and does historically and will always do, because it's the nature of the beast. They have no personal affinity to you. They have no personal love for you. They're not your father or your mother, despite Kamala and Papa Joe Biden. They do not love you the way your parents do or ought to have in an ideal circumstance. They don't love your kids the way you love your kids. They don't have your kids' best interest in their minds the way you do. You are entities to be managed, and they are there to make work for themselves, effectively cause problems that they then make more work for themselves to solve, and they couldn't give one sweet bugger all about the existing problems if they can see that sweet low-hanging fruit of ostensibly seeming to resolve someone else's problem. Look at this. This is going to really, really piss you off.
Are you homeless out here in Springfield, Ohio?
Yes, me and my baby both are.
How long have you been homeless for?
I've been here in Springfield since January, and I've been homeless the whole time.
The whole time?
This is Taylor Hanson, who's on the street. I'm going to share this tweet with everybody afterwards, interviewing local Springfield residents. I'm going to have to explain this, and I can only do it verbally, and it requires not nuance to explain. It requires nuance to not be misunderstood. you are going to have people who are going to look at this young woman and call her all sorts of names. And the tropes that the East Coast and the West Coast call middle America. I'm not going to use them, but you know what I'm talking about. They're going to look at her and they're going to say, you lazy woman, go get a job. They look at her with disdain and scorn, but then they look at everyone else who they want to bring in with admiration and longing. Oh, they want to work for a better life. This woman here, this Springfield resident, although she's new, she doesn't. Go get a job and stop complaining. There are other people out there who really need help. I have no idea why this woman's homeless. I have no idea what happened in her life that put her in the position that she's in right now. The bottom line is that whatever the cause of her homelessness is, the government is there to take care of the citizens who are their citizens, the ones who have paid taxes into their system, and the ones who they were elected to take care of. Your job as a government is to resolve homelessness in as much as possible, not neglect it and exacerbate it because you want to resolve international conflict. You want to reach out an olive branch to the people of Haiti because they've got a shitty government over there, and so you neglect your own citizens, but worse yet, demonize them. You will have elitist pricks in West Coast, in East Coast, in DC saying, go get a job, you lazy woman. Go get a job. You don't really need it. They really need it. And listen to the rest of this.
Okay. Do you feel like the Haitians or kind of the influx of the Haitian immigrants are taking away from resources that you could potentially have?
100%. 100%. Before they came here, we could get housing. Young single moms could actually afford to pay rent.
Yeah.
Now that they're here, $900 for a 2-bedroom? How's a young single mom supposed to pay that on top of her kid?
So
We got to fight for our money, our food stamps.
And you know what they're going to do? In addition to the tropes and the slurs, middle America, flyover land. Who was it that was flying over? It's like, why does the land look like that? Because it's farmland that feeds people. You idiot. I forget who it was. They're going to look at her, call her whatever tropes, a white woman, no, you know, the white trash trope. They're gonna say that, and then they're gonna go even one step further and call her racist. Oh, listen to the way she's talking about them Haitians. This woman's a racist bigot. Get your life under control and take care of the people that we bring in to your neglect. That's what they will say. That's how they view the everyday people who are struggling in America, especially the quote flyover America, with scorn, disdain, and nothing but ill regard.
Our medical, everything. We got to fight for it, but they get to come here and just get it handed to them. That's not fair to my daughter. Not me, my daughter. That's taking from my baby, and I'm not okay with that. It has to end. Something has to be done. They're taking from our children, not us, our children, the future of our country, and that's not okay. I'm 100% not okay with that. It's 100% disrespectful to us. Granted, I respect the fact that you got a war going on, okay? You could come over here and respect our customs. Don't come here taking away from us. Respect it. Fight with us. If we got to fight for it, they should have to. Everything we got to do, they should have to abide by. Why? It's our country, our rules, our laws.
How is it being homeless out here with a child?
Very difficult. I struggle to provide everything. Yesterday, for example, I was struggling to just get her diapers to the point I was about to go steal them. That's how bad it gets.
Do you get any kind of government?
You know what would happen if she steals them? Full force of the law. What happens when people are flipping cars, driving without licenses? I suspect it's not the exact same full force of the law whatsoever.
Resources or anything?
I'm currently in the process of reapplying for food stamps. But again, even that for us is a fight because of these Haitians. We can't get these simple things because they're coming and they're taking it. They're getting it handed to them, while our own country, before they got here, yeah, we were struggling, but them coming here, we're struggling more. How do we support another country when we can't even support our own?
Oh, I'm going to stop it right there, and I'm going to share the link with everybody so that you can go and give Taylor a follow on social media, on Twitter. Link to tweet. Film Waters says, why does a drug addict on the street make more sense than leftist politicians? And look, the reality is people, the elitist pricks on coast to coast and in DC will look at her and say, white trash drug addict, get your shit in order before you start complaining about them Haitians. Ask why. I don't know if she's on drugs, and I don't know. I mean, I know what I think, and it's irrelevant because it's not proven. But ask yourself why there are so many people living on the streets, so many people addicted to drugs in America, so many people ODing from drugs in America. Oh, lo and behold, it's from the other disastrous policy of this very same administration. You allow a porous border to be inundated with fentanyl coming from China up through Mexico, killing American citizens, getting them addicted to drugs. And then when they're addicted to drugs and on the street, hey, get your shit together. We've got foreigners to help. Why? By and large, because it's resulting from other conflicts that we as a government are also financing overseas and in other countries. It's amazing how it all works. And by the way she says it, oh yeah, people will be able to write it off as racist and whatever, intolerant. All right. Them Haitians. Oh, you can make fun. It's very easy to make fun of her the way she says it. What she's saying is exactly what is being reported by mainstream media. This is from where's this from? It's from, I want to say NPR, Reuters, whatever. This is I forgot. I archived it, so I don't know. I don't see the original. It was Reuters. Yeah, it's Reuters. I can see in the headline there in the bar. This is what Reuters has to write. Listen to this genius reporting. Haitian immigrants fueled Springfield's growth, and now a presidential debate. Haitian immigrants fueled Springfield's growth. That is what we call a truism, a tautology. Yes, massive immigration spawns the growth of the endpoint destination of those immigrants. It's an amazing thing. They don't say it as a good or a bad until later on in the article, but the Haitian immigrants fueled Springfield's growth. By definition, when you bring in 25% of a population, it's going to grow. The town grew. Congratulations. What is the effect of that growth? Oh, roll down here. Listen to this. Remember, if you say that there's car accidents, the increase in car accidents from the Haitians, you're going to get called a racist. You have to say it proper, right? You know, like the prim and proper media. After a half century of decline, data showed the rapid population rebound has had a notable impact on Springfield. No shit, Sherlock. After a half, they didn't come to Springfield because there were jobs for them to fill that there were not enough Springfield residents to fill. Decline, the rapid population rebound. It's not a rebound. A rebound implies a natural turn of events. This is an inorganic population injection. It's had a notable impact on Springfield. Thank you for stating the obvious, Captain Obvious. Listen to this. Enrollment in Medicaid and federal food assistance and welfare programs surged. It's great. I'm sure that's not a problem for the people who are already out. I thought, John Legend, I thought they were there for jobs, filling positions for those massive amount of job openings that Springfield residents just didn't want to take. Enrollment in Medicaid food assistance, welfare programs surged. So did rents and vehicle accidents, including a collision last year when a Haitian without a U.S. driver's license drove into a school bus, killing 11-year-old Aiden Clark and injuring 26 other children. It's funny, like, if she were to say, them Haitians are causing road accidents, they'd call her a racist. Reuters comes out and says, oh yeah, we're going to get to the rents in a second. So did vehicle accidents. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was racist to say that. Oh no, not when Reuters factually assesses it. It's only when someone who is easy to beat down on, a homeless mother of a child on the street. Oh, it's easy to beat down on her and judge her. Learn to deal with diversity, woman. And then Reuters comes out and tells us what we all not already knew, but what we now know now as a result of the week's news cycle. Rent. Do you remember when she said in that video, how am I supposed to afford $900 rent? Because you know what happens? When the government comes out and gives their new pet project, because that's nothing less than what this is. Hey, here, guys. Oh, you get your temporary protected status. You guys here's some credit cards. Here's some money for rent. Well, what do you think the landlords are going to do? You know exactly what they're going to do. We've been talking about it. Read an article the other day. They kick people out of their apartments, do some renos, and then jack up the rent. And the people who've been given government subsidies have the money to pay for it. What's she going to do with her kid? Well, get off the drugs and pull yourself up and, we're not here to take care of you. You deserve what you got. They don't deserve what they got. We're here to help them, even though they're not American citizens. The number of affordable housing vouchers fell as landlords moved to market-based rents that were rising in the face of higher demand, a blow to existing residents relying on them. What didn't happen, according to interviews with a dozen locals, it's an amazing thing, eh? What didn't happen, according to interviews with a dozen local, county, and officials, as well as city police data, was a general rise in violent or property crime. First of all, it's amazing. They don't trust the locals, the interviews when the locals come out and say what is going on at city council meetings. Oh, that's anecdotal. Those are uncorroborated. We must disregard that. But when we interview them to say, how's crime? And oh, no, I'm sure the government would tell you that crime is on the rise. Of course they would. Yes. Not only has our awful, neglectful immigration policy resulted in housing becoming unaffordable, the homeless can't get food vouchers. Not only has it resulted in all of that, and wicked amounts of car accidents that actually, end up killing an 11-year-old kid. That's the cost of. That's the cost. That's the price you have to pay to support the world. You expect them to then come out and say, yeah, and also crime is kind of up. I looked it up, by the way. The crime has increased over the last 2 or 3 years. Wages didn't collapse, but surged with a rising number of job openings in a labor market that remained tight until recently. The wages surge with a rising number of job openings. Where are those jobs? What are those jobs? Oh my goodness. Okay, then it goes on to that. But it's a phenomenal thing where they'll say the same thing, but depending on who says it, one is either going to be reliable, trustworthy news, the other one's going to be white trash racist. Americans are getting priced out of our ESESs. Yep. So that's what's going on there. But there's more. Like I'm just you pull it all up, and it's amazing. Let's see this here. Hold on 1 second. Okay, maybe that might have been it. Hey everyone, this is John Legend. This is his home. Okay, fine, we got that. That's what's going on, and nobody knew what was going on in Springfield. At least the vast majority of Americans did not until this week. And then it becomes the question as to whether or not, I don't think anybody's doing this, like strategically, tactically, spreading what they know to be a lie about, or what they know to be a lie. And in this case, that would be the eating of the cats and the dogs. In order to spread the truth of the story, which is the rest of it, what we've seen. The more that the media screams and cries about how untrue those on the street anecdotes are, the more I believe that they are true. But it is true that we haven't seen any video yet. And for everybody saying that the video of the woman eating the cat is proof she was not a Haitian immigrant, she's an American citizen. It was 3 hours from Springfield, Ohio. But the more the media and the liars of the world, like the Eric Swalwells, piss and moan about how fake it is and how false it is and how disinformation it is, when a liar comes out again and says something, I'm more inclined to believe that they're lying yet again than they're telling the truth this time. But the bottom line, nobody knew what was going on in Springfield until now. And if it's like one of those situations where if you accidentally have a typo in a tweet and it becomes what people talk about, and that sort of drives the traffic to the tweet, people might get the stupid strategy of like, oh, I'll deliberately make a mistake so that it draws more attention to it so I can, get it going viral. I don't think that's what's going on here. J.D. Vance gave an interview and said, look, these are not lies and rumors. We have people on the ground saying that this is happening. The fact that the police come out and say it's not happening is not proof that it's not happening. It might more likely be proof that it is, and they've got to cover their asses for the shit that is going on in Springfield as a result of what they've done. Furby Slave says, a month ago, the media called them cannibals. LOL. No, I mean, it was cannibalism in Haiti. I'm sure that's not being imported elsewhere. When massive amounts of people from Haiti come over to small town America, Springfield, Ohio. But that's what's going on, and the world knows about it now. And congratulations, the memes are out there, the songs are out there, the techno remixes are out there, and the only question is going to be, what is the lasting impact of all of this? The left likes to say it makes Trump look like an idiot and a liar for repeating a debunked lie. I said it right after the debate, and I think it's going to pan out to be true. A lot of those statements that they claimed were lies or disinformation, they're going to age more like fine wine than like rotten milk. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat here. Oh, and by the way, so Taylor Hansen, you got the link. He's on the street, and he's doing amazing work covering that. From what I understand, David Menzies is also out there, and I DM'd them, but I haven't heard back. So if I can get them on the channel to talk, they are, as they know, always more than welcome. But the amazing thing is now, like, we're living in a world where it's impossible to distinguish parody from reality. So much so that what The music video that guy, whoever created that original opening song, what he created intending to mock, people actually thought was celebration. I'm going to show you an image. This is going back to the debate. This was a montage that was actually published by something in the media. I won't give the punchline. This was published in the media, and I'm sitting there saying, oh my God. I look at it, and I was like, oh, is this the Babylon Bee or is this the New York Times? One of the two entities published this, and then the question is, did they publish it to mock or did they publish it to praise? What does the aggregate knowledge of the interchat have to say about this? Let me leave it up, and let me go see what the chat has to say. 1, New York Times. 2, Babylon Bee. Although many of you might also know the answer. Was that montage put together to mock Kamala Harris or to praise Kamala Harris? 1, New York Times. 2, Babylon Bee. Yeah. When we get the answers, 1, New York Times. Accidental mock faithless. 2 says Polish dog. 1 says 4 says Jeff Tyndall. 1. It was the New York Times. But remember when Trump made his faces? They're like, oh, Trump can't hide his anger. Like, it's just the classic motivated reasoning. Whatever she does, they're going to compliment. Whatever he does, they're going to criticize. Period. So look at this. This is the article from the New York Times. And they say it like she's good. Look at this. Look at this. This one right here is also the one that makes me want to puke. This one, so number 2, we're going to go like 1, 2, 3 from left to right, top to bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Of the 6, the ones that make me want to vomit the most are 2 and 3. And I think everyone in the chat is going to agree. Number 2 is the phoniest. Talladega Nights, I don't know what to do with my hand. Trying to look like an intellectual. And number 3 is the most condescending, patronizing look imaginable. She'll say, I meant to be condescending and patronizing. I meant to look at Trump like, you poor dummy. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you believe those things. When it comes off as the face of the teacher that you absolutely hated, who left an indelible mark on the rest of your life, man. No, I was going to think of one from elementary school, but in the event that she's watching, I don't want to insult her. It doesn't leave a good taste in your mouth. But read the headline. In debate with Trump, Harris's expressions were a weapon. This is from the media that Mark Cuban says there's no evidence that it's pro Kamala and anti-Trump. Look, in a debate with Trump, Harris's expressions were a weapon. Tuesday's debate was expected to center on defining Kamala Harris. Instead, with words and with body language, she turned it into a referendum on Donald Trump. Here we got number 1, phony, pretentious idiot pretending to take notes. Number 2, I don't know what to do with my hands. Number 3, I'm a condescending, judgmental person. Number 4, I'm an arrogant prick. This is one where she lets herself shine through. Number 5, thanks for working with me, moderators. You did good there. And number 6, I'm unfit. Okay, it doesn't matter. She turned him into an arched brow, a quiet sigh, a hand on her chin, a laugh, a pitying glance, a dismissive shake of the head. From the opening moments of her first, this is like porn. This is like political porn written by the journalists at the New York Times. From her first debate against Donald Trump, Kamala Harris craftily exploited her opponent's biggest weaknesses. Not his record, because his record's not bad. Not his divisive policies, because they are proven to be quite good for America. Not his history of inflammatory statements. Instead, she took aim at a far more primal part of him, his ego. I don't think he noticed her ugly face the entire time. I mean, I noticed he did not look at her very often, and it was quite, I believe, deliberate. Like, I don't even have to look at this fraud to my left, a fraud who didn't get 1 primary vote and yet somehow is now the greatest thing since sliced bread. At his rallies, his sycophantic social media network, and surrounded by flatterers at Mar-a-Lago, Mr. Trump is unquestioned, unchallenged, and never mocked. That changed over the course of 90 minutes in Philadelphia, when the woman who had never before met him succeeded bit by bit in puncturing his comfortable cocoon and triggering his annoyance and anger. Oh my God, you know what this is called? This is called Operation Mockingbird 2.0. Media trying to craft reality and not reflect it. If anybody wants to go read that and vomit, here, vomit, read. Boom. Enjoy it. Yeah, so that's the New York Times. Totally not working in tandem with those corrupt hacks at the moderating the debate. By the way, anybody have any doubts about the bias of the moderators? Like this clip is one of my favorites. When people say it was a 3-on-1, it's like, oh, you're just making excuses for Trump. First of all, I don't think the debate had any lasting impact on anything. I think the sound bites are quite clearly pro-Trump and not anti-Trump. But when we say that it was 3 versus 1, listen to this, and you tell me, why in the name of sweet holy hell is moderator David Muir arguing with Trump?
But let me just ask
you. You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi.
Can you imagine what an absolute ass you have to be as a moderator to actually talk after his question? It's not even that he's debating with Trump. He's actually abusing of his role as moderator to qualify, editorialize, and comment on Trump's answer after he gave it. I wasn't asking about you. I was asking about you, not Nancy. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you not like the answer, you raging jackass? Oh no, but they were totally not biased and they were totally not partial to Kamala Harris. And anybody who says that they were and that he should sit down for a third debate with these corrupt hacks, oh, it's only because he lied. It was beyond the pale in terms of the not unfairness, but the bias of it. And I think Trump also elucidated that. And anybody with half a brain, I think he should do another debate only because I like watching these things. But anybody who thinks after dealing with that type of scoundrel behavior that you sit down and talk to them even more, let him do it again. And then this is also, by the way, the classic, I want to say like Darvo-esque narcissist, like they abuse you, they violate your trust, they insult you, they demean you, they defame you. And then when you say, I'm not talking to you anymore, then they abuse you again. Oh, Carroll doesn't want to talk to us anymore. Hey, why not, dummy? It's the classical abusive personality that they cheat, lie, and steal. And then when you say, I'm done with you, piss off, then they say, oh, coward, can't deal with reality. It's a tactic that works relatively well on people. But, while we're having a bit of a good laugh here, everybody has to have now heard the brain fart, the Freudian slip heard round the world. It might be the only time that Tim Walz has actually told the truth when talking about his running mate. And Prostitutor, Kamala Harris. Listen to this, and then I did a little comparison, cut and paste, so you can enjoy this.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prostitutor. Oops. Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time. Kamala Harris, for the people.
I just want to play one more time. Listen to what he said. And I didn't edit temporally. I just zoomed in on his face. He knew what he said. And I think he probably thinks fast enough on his feet. He's like, if I draw any more attention to this, it'll get even more playtime. Wrong, Tim. This is getting all the playtime I can give it. Prostitutor. When Kamala Harris was a prostitutor, and then I'm going to let my montage play.
Because this started, and I love this story, as a young prostitutor. Kamala Harris talked about going in that courtroom for the first time. Kamala Harris, for the people.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle.
As a young prostitutor.
Flashy clothes.
As a young prostitutor.
Fancy parties.
As a young prostitutor.
Fine women.
Are you his daughter?
As a young prostitutor.
Because this started, and I love this story. As a young
you all understand this is
This
is Willie Brown. This is Willie Brown. Kamala's first boss, who she worked, from whom she earned her promotions. Are you his daughter? Which, look at this. His flamboyant.
Fine women.
Fine women. This is an ABC. This is a report from back in the day. You can tell it's like recorded off VHS. His fine women. One of his fine women. The man who was, I guess, I mean, whatever. It's all legal. 40 years is her elder. Big deal. Fine women.
Women.
Are you his daughter?
As a young prostitutor.
Oh my goodness. People, it's classic. You can't make this stuff up, and it is amazing. Link here if you want to share that tweet around. Let's take a little break here for a second, peeps. If I can get my fat fingers to be able to bring it up here. We got DTQC from our locals community. Viva! You should do a sidebar with Brian Landuk. He is a software developer and influencer who talks about the culture war in programming world, like IBM Red Hat being sued for woke discrimination. He is also on Rumble. I will screen grab that and definitely have a look. I'm listening to Epstein on Rogan right now, and I actually have some questions that I would ask Epstein if we get him on for a podcast, so I'm going to reach out to him. Everyone misses the real issue from Spam Ranger over in our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. Democrat incompetence. Democrats lured in millions of illegals that they have no competence to integrate, to exploit them for votes through dependency on government services, paid for through tax slavery of the general population, but nobody is attentive to where this is heading. The Democrats' Marxist comrades in Russia leveraged similar scheming and incompetence to trigger a famine, killing 5 million. This is where we are heading. I think I want to believe that we are righting this ship in real time, and I want to maybe convince myself that I'm having some role to play in that. Let me live with that delusion if it's not true. King of Biltong in the house says, good afternoon from Anton's. Biltong is one of the most protein-dense foods in the world and packed with B12, zinc, iron, creatine, and more. Need a healthy snack? Get yours today at biltongusa.com. Viva 10 for 10% off. Biltong, B-I-L-T-O-N-G. It's delicious. I do, when it comes to the Biltong, the best. Hands down, Anton, you're watching, the Peri Peri. Angus Peri Peri is, I ate an entire bag. That's 4 servings in one sitting, but I figure it's just like eating a steak, so I didn't mind very much. So that's that. And that's all I have to say about that. What are we going to bring up right now? There's more. Let's watch this. I have some stuff that I haven't actually watched before we got here. Oh, here we go. Mark Cuban. Okay, I hear someone screaming outside. That was a happy scream and not a sad scream. This is Mark Cuban, by the way, who's going to be an eternal inspiration for us all, because no matter how stupid you are and no matter how moronic you can be, you can still become a multi-millionaire. I don't know if he's a billionaire. Mark Cuban tweeted something out and expects us to believe it, although I do believe it. I'll tell you why. I have several friends in Texas who texted me after the debate and told me they were convinced that, okay, hold on, let me read this properly. I have several friends in Texas who texted me after the debate and told me they were convinced that she was more presidential and would bring more stability. They would vote for her. They were concerned about whether she would stay a centrist, but thought that risk was less than Trump's instability and inability to keep from being baited again and again. Do you notice how Mark here is parroting the New York Times talking point? So this leads me to believe that this never happened. This actually leads me to believe, and Mark Cuban, if you're watching, come on, talk about it. I believe you're bought and paid for. I believe that you are now officially an asset of mainstream media intelligence assets, because it's very weird. This was, I believe, before. This was September 12th. That was yesterday. Might not have been before that article on from New York Times. So he might just be, he's either working in tandem with or just a smooth-brained idiot who's heavily influenced by repeating their talking points. I don't believe that this happened, but even if it did, that would only show you that dumb people tend to have dumb friends. Congratulations, Mark Cuban. You're never the smartest person in the room. But this was the part that I loved. They're concerned that she's going to say a centrist. I had to tweet out yesterday, the woman who supports taxpayer-funded genital mutilation surgery on prison inmates and foreign illegal aliens detained is not a centrist. I mean, for you to say that she's a centrist, you have to be the biggest moron on the face of the planet, living in an alternate universe in which the woman who supports transgender surgeries on inmates and aliens who are detained is the centrist. You literally could not get more extremist, progressive, regressive, leftist than that. I think by definition. What would be more extreme than that? Let me see. Was this? Yeah, this was the same one that we saw earlier. So we don't need to see that one. But there was a couple more here. Well, this is. I think we already talked about this. So we'll just play it for the sake of refreshing.
That is why, also, starting with our administration, we gave TPS, temporary protected status, to Haitian migrants, 55,000. And then more recently, we extended temporary protected status to over 100,000 Haitian migrants for that very reason, that they need support, they need protection.
Yeah. But not that young woman, mother of at least one on the street. She doesn't need it. She should just get her stuff together. Let's see some fun stuff here. We're going to break away from that. I think we've done enough of that. Here, actual brain rot. Let me see this here. Okay, let's. I don't know if we're going to play the whole thing. Just play a little bit of this. This is hump. Trump versus Harris debate. I'm done.
What comes to mind when you think of Donald Trump?
I would say unqualified,
unprepared.
I'd say ignorant,
Highly influential, but disingenuous.
selfish, and arrogant.
What word or words come to mind when you think of Kamala Harris?
She has a lot of power in her voice.
I would say hope.
I would say strong.
I would say eloquent. She's been very persuasive, and I think persuaded me to vote for her.
Numbing.
What does that mean?
Her administration, what she would serve towards American politics would be like another 4 years of kind of stagnant or very small progress, if any.
I'm curious to hear from those who said you're voting for Kamala Harris. Is it a vote for Harris or more against Trump? Olivia?
It's a little bit of both for me. I don't want to see another Trump presidency. January 6th, just seeing that play out. I was in the history class when it happened. We watched it on C-SPAN on TV. That really made me think I don't ever want our country to go down this road.
Haiti, is it a vote for or a vote against?
One more answer.
In all honesty, I would say that it's more so against Trump. Everything that he stands for is really the complete opposite of what I stand for.
My vote,
It's an amazing thing because it really does show you the power of brainwashing, the power of repetition, and also there's a power in youth and there's also a weakness in youth. Like can you imagine they're saying hope and change? Or I don't know if they said hope. They said change or hope. I think they said hope, not realizing that is actually like Obama 2.0. And the hope that Obama brought, they have no idea how catastrophic that presidency was, those 8 years were. And it is the amazing thing of repetition, repetition, repetition. Trump is a threat to democracy. January 6th was an insurrection. And he's Satan incarnate. And Kamala is hope. Kamala is hope for a future that she hasn't delivered in the present. And don't let that minor fact get to you. Idiots. Sorry, I saw that in the chat. Let's go to Pete. Speaking of idiots, let's go to Pete Buttigieg and let's see what he has to say about everything. It's fun just to navigate the news.
What did you make of Trump saying today, no more debates between him and Harris?
Well, I remember back when he was saying anytime, any place. But what changed, of course, is he got beat. He doesn't like being beat. He doesn't like being embarrassed. So I'm not totally surprised that he's changed his position, backed off, and doesn't want to go through that again.
Do you think that there will ultimately be another match? Do you think he'll be able to? Because you and I talked about this last time. You said that you thought Trump was scared to go on the debate stage with her. Do you think there will ultimately be another one?
Hard to say. There may come a point where the dynamics build against him and he decides he needs to do something, anything to shift attention from her winning message. Maybe that would motivate him to change his strategy. I'm beyond trying to predict what his strategy will be in the future. What I do know is it was a great night for her and it was a really rough night for him. And I think the most important thing about it was that if you watch the debate, he really talked about three things. He talked about himself, most of all. He talked about her quite a bit, and he talked about Joe Biden quite a bit.
Wow. This is where people watch this crap for news. You know what he talked about a lot? Not about him, maybe about her, not so much about Joe Biden. Talked about World War III, talked about massive immigration, open borders, and mostly World War III. But no one watched the debate. And so you got these liars just lying, but then you got these 5 young ladies, That's how they identified. Sitting there and saying, yeah, everything's about him. You know, that time when he almost got killed, it was for him. That time when he ran for president and actually lost net value, that was for him. For the last 30 years, he's been saying, I wouldn't run for president unless I really, really felt I needed to save the country. He did it for him. Because that's what every 77, 75-year-old man needs at that point in his life. Not to be playing golf, eating at fine restaurants, but to be running the most powerful government in the world. Yeah, he's very, very selfish. He's very selfish. They say it over and over again, and then people end up believing it. All right. What do we got here? Wait a minute. Natalie. Oh. Well. Tabarnouche. All right, well, I think that is about going to do it for that stuff. Did everybody watch the vlog that I put out yesterday? Because we'll talk about one last thing, which is sort of not about the debate and not about that. There was a news a couple weeks ago, Isaac Hayes III suing Trump. Everybody was running with this story that Trump is unlawfully, illegally, copyright violation playing Isaac Hayes' dad's music at his rallies, and he's a thief. And oh my God, Isaac Hayes stuck it to him, and Trump is a copywriting pirate, whatever. Okay, well, last week the news came out, or 2 weeks ago. I think it was last week because it took a little time to get the written order that a provisional or a temporary injunction, a provisional injunction, preliminary injunction was issued enjoining Trump from using the song of Isaac Hayes III's dad. And it was like big breaking news because Isaac Hayes stuck it to Trump. He took to Twitter to take his victory lap. And Ron Coleman, the law tuber, the member of our law tube community who's actually still a practicing attorney, I don't want to get in trouble. He's the attorney of record. And I was, just trying to confirm my understanding of it, which is that the Trump campaign had a license for the song up until a certain point, by all accounts. And then the point at which the alleged license was revoked is the issue here. And that it was not a question of stealing a song any more than the case of the Foo Fighters. And that this injunction, the order that was issued was total fake news because the Trump campaign had undertaken on a going forward basis to not use the song, because who the hell wants to deal with jackasses who want to start fights over the use of a song? And lo and behold, I wasn't wrong. I got the order. I did a short vlog yesterday. Let me see how this works. I go window and bring up the order. Here's the order, people. And what's incredible about it is that that's exactly what went on in this. Opinion in order. This is Isaac Hayes Enterprises, because the son now owns the portfolio. He's living off his dad's legacy. Good for him. But like I said in yesterday's video, from rice paddy to rice paddy in 3 generations. And the guy's name is literally Isaac Hayes III. Copyright infringement case before the court. Plaintiffs amended preliminary motion. It's granted in part, denied in part. But I want to just highlight the facts of this case, which are the very important. The copyrighted work was recorded by Sam and Dave in 1966. The recording peaked at number 1. This was not the important part. Defendant Donald Trump, he used it at his rallies. That's also not the important part. Scrolling down here. Legal standard. We get into the this stuff. Here we go. Plaintiff's order for preliminary injunction is denied as moot. Fine. We get to the likelihood of merits on the issue. This is it right here. The ownership at page 4. The parties dispute whether plaintiff Isaac Hayes Enterprises owns any interest in the copyrighted work. Defendants argue that plaintiff Isaac Hayes Enterprises assigned its interest to an entity called Primary Wave Music, IP Fund 3, okay, and otherwise has not shown that it has any ownership interest in the copyrighted work. Plaintiffs disagree. They assert that plaintiff Isaac Hayes Enterprises regained control of Isaac Hayes. The son's company regained control of the father's half of the copyright pursuant to a provision of law, which says that after 56 years from the date on which a copyright was originally secured, you could terminate the agreement and take it back. Ownership. In his declaration, Isaac Hayes III, president of CEO, etc., stated that Isaac Hayes Enterprises legally terminated the license that had been given from the others who had the ownership interest after the 56 years after publication, etc. This resulted in Isaac Hayes regaining complete control of its 50% ownership interest in the copyright. Plaintiff Isaac Hayes Enterprises entered an agreement with which it assigned half of its 50% to Primary Wave, resulting in each owning 25%. The letter by Primary Wave and the declaration corroborates the agreement. Fine. Defendants did not rebut this evidence. The court therefore concludes that they have met their burden of proving ownership over the copyrighted work. So the bottom line is, the guy didn't own the copyright, or at least through his company, until that provision of law kicked in. He then gets into an agreement with another company where he splits his 50% ownership. And then they say, we don't want you using the song anymore because it was already within a basket of music that the Trump campaign was allowed to license through whatever entities were licensing out the rights of the song before Isaac Hayes took control over it and notified Trump to stop using it. And then after that, there was a dispute as to whether or not he could, whether or not he actually had ownership. And they said, not worth it. We're done. We won't use it on a going forward basis anyhow. Where was the part where they mentioned the letter? As to the license defense, the defendants have provided a copy of a BMI music license for political entities or organizations that authorize the defendant's use of the copyrighted work. They had authorization up to a certain point. Paragraph 2A states that one or more works or catalogs by BMI may be excluded from this license agreement if notice is received by BMI that the songwriter objects to the use of their work for the intended uses by licensee. And it's an interesting thing. I didn't actually know that these provisions exist in political contracts, because you might license your music out, but when it comes to politics, people are peculiar and don't necessarily want their works associated with their political adversary. Totally fine. So there's provisions in there. It says, if we get notified by the songwriter who owns the copyright, not by someone who doesn't, you can't use it anymore, take it out. Fine. Pursuant to that provision, BMI emailed the defendant on June 6, 2024, that one of the songwriters of the copyrighted work objected to his use and that it was excluded from the agreement effective immediately. Okay, that's June. Despite that, defendants continued to use the copyright work after June 6th. Have to see why. Maybe there's a legit reason. Maybe they said he doesn't own the interest. Maybe they didn't know that he owned the interest in it. Thus, the court finds that it is likely that future use will, yada, yada, cause irreparable harm. Fine, fine, fine. But we have to go all the way to the end. And I believe it's somewhere about here. On the other hand, the defendants focused their arguments on the fact that an injunction would restrict core political speech. Yeah, we'll get to that anyhow. There is no evidence to suggest that the inability to play the copyrighted work in the future will inhibit the defendant's political speech, especially considering that the defendants submitted a declaration stating that they do not intend to use the song at future public events while this litigation is pending. Can you imagine how the media misrepresented what this smashing victory was? There is not a disputed ownership, but there's a curious timeline of the ownership. There's an interesting provision of the contract that says that if the guy says, don't use this anymore, you can't. Whether or not they continued using it because they didn't think the guy had the legitimate interest to be able to do that is one thing. And they undertook not to use it on a going forward basis anyhow. That effectively renders the injunction moot, academic. But they come out with this ruling. It gets twisted and misrepresented by Isaac Hayes III, and they run with it in the media so that you think Trump has somehow admitted to smashing guilt and that he's a big loser and Isaac Hayes is the big winner. So that's it now. You may understand that better, but the nuance will not translate onto anybody who doesn't want to understand it. There we go. All right, people, now what we're going to do, yeah, we're going to go over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com for the after party. But before we do that, let me just show you one thing. Got to get good at not promoting, not shilling, just notifying. If you are so inclined that you want to get a shirt, you want to support the channel, you want to support the man. Well, no, the man would be the man of this channel. By supporting, getting a hat, getting some merchandise, you can go to Viva Fry and get some amazing merch. You get your fight shot glasses. They're amazing. You can get your mugshot shot glasses. You can also get, if you want to be a little saucier, don't vote for an idiot, mug. That way you can drink this at home every day. Remind yourself, don't vote for an idiot. Or you can go to vivabarneslaw.locals.com and support our above average community out there. Everybody, it's Friday. The next time I see you will probably be by way of car vlog, potentially this afternoon, maybe a fishing vlog, something tomorrow, your Sunday reminder vlog of the upcoming stream, and Sunday night, Viva Barnes Law for the People. It's going to be amazing. Let's hang out in the chat for a few seconds before we head on over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Let me get the link to our locals community here, and then we're going to take the party on over there afterwards. Link. Boom. We got in the chat, Shabbat Shalom David says, M. Sidloy. Honor 234 says his father, Isaac Hayes, was chef on South Park. Yeah, I didn't know that. I should have known that. I didn't piece it together. I would have definitely included some memes from South Park. And then we're going up here. Wasn't that the fella, the chef on the Simpsons? Let's be honest. 55 says desperation on the left. They are trying to do anything and everything to spite Trump. It's the most irrational and emotional actions triggered by their TDS, in my humble opinion. I agree. Larry Legend 420 says libtards are melting down and trying everything possible to steal the election. If we all make it to January 20, it will be a miracle. Don't put that juju out in the universe. It's get out, vote. Convince as many people as you can to get out and vote, while respecting their decision to vote for who they want. Corn Macabre says, oh, no, never mind. Forget that. She married him too. You chose wrong. Should have had to deal with. Okay, no. The Fanny case will be thrown out, says Hard and Heavy. Yeah, there's no question about that. Fanny case is going to get thrown out. The New York verdict is going to get vacated. You need that E. Jean Carroll has to get overturned because it's the most egregious injustice on earth. And the Letitia James will presumably get overturned as well. Great show, says Honor 234. Thank you very much, sir. What do we got here? Meltology is the study of half-melted buildings. Okay, and okay, that's it. Done. We're going to do this. I'll talk about something related to September 11th in our locals community because I had an interesting exchange with someone. I don't need to mention any names whatsoever, but interesting. And what else is there? That's it. Oh, there's a 30-second delay. So we're going to end it everywhere here. Let me just see if I want to do something here. Now we're good. Okay. Everybody, thank you for being here. Enjoy Friday. Enjoy the weekend. I will see you no later than Sunday. And but I'll probably see you in our Viva. Well, I will see you in our vivabarneslaw.locals.com community. And you'll see me on Twitter because I'm taking the diary of my life is going to be on Twitter, taking notes and keeping track of a world going crazy. We are going to locals, supporters only. Locals, I will see you there.